roughly 3 months. And as Mr. Fissel stated, the worst part of the algae system is in August. So when we get to the August, September months, we'll have a better idea, late summer and early fall, to get an accurate analysis of the performance. Thank you. It's hard for me to see and read my notes at the same time. I'm getting old. Okay. The first slide is there's certain factors that we wanted to look at when you want to determine if the system is working well or not. Chlorophyll is the biggest indicator that the system is truly working because it shows algae is not growing. So chlorophyll indicates algae growth. After installation, 17 days after installation on April 11th, 2017, the chlorophyll level was averaging around 20, I don't know what UG stands for.
Oh, that parts per billion.
Parts per billion? Okay, thank you. The current levels are just above 0, maybe 5 parts per billion, and it's been stable through May 14th. So that's a good indication that the system is working. The next slide shows the phycocyanin, and phycocyanin, let me get my notes out, causes taste and odor problems in the drinking water. So that's, if you'll see the slide there, it's significantly dropped. The toxins, phycocyanin, are the toxins produced by the blue-green algae and bacteria that cause taste and odor problems in the drinking water. Prior to the installation, it was approximately 4 to 5 parts per billion, and we are currently near 0. It's another indication that this is working well. Next indicator, so it's decreased. Next indicator is your turbidity, and turbidity is basically the clarity of your water, how clear it is. Right now, the prior levels prior to the installation of the algae system was 4.0. The current levels are less than 1. Algae blooming produces approximate turbidity of about 5 to 7. So we've significantly dropped on our turbidity. Okay. Lake flow versus well usage. You can see that the lake flow and well usage, we're starting to get to where it's 50. The goal has always been to be 50% lake, 50% well usage, plus or minus with the water that we pull from the mount. You can see the 3-year average. The lake, we were pulling at about 55%, and the well was at 45%. Now we're starting to balance out at 51 and 49%. We should note this, during this time last year, the wells were accounting for up to 58% of our water usage, which is about 10% more than where we are currently. So we're able to meet our numbers that we would like to get from the lake. We now anticipate, oh, that's another slide. I'll come back to that. The coagulant usage has decreased. We've gone down from 19.4 to 16. We expect to see that drop more significantly when we do get into late summer and early fall. One of the key indicators and one of the reasons we wanted to go with this system was the backwash water usage. We needed to reduce the amount of gallons of water we were using each month. Prior to the installation of the system, we were using approximately 1.292 million gallons of water a month. Our goal was to meet 600,000 gallons per month. And if you recall, that was getting us to the number where we were saving, I believe it was 25 taps.
I think it was like 85.
85 taps. Okay. So the water is, we are saving the water, even though we are still we're doing more backwashes. The backwash gallons per day is a lot less. We are making our lake number every day. The lake is very clear, and Mr. Fissel is very pleased with it, and he says that he's gotten some comments from regular fishermen that states how much better the lake water is. Overall, we've had good performance since April. The lake is clear. Like I stated, making the lake numbers every day. We've had no unexpected filter-related overtime, and that was another one of the cost savings that we were projecting, that because we are pulling in clearer and cleaner water from the lake, our filters are not being overworked. The NTUs are lower. We've decreased our water usage. We've decreased our coagulant usage. The only number that hasn't really changed is our soda ash and chlorine, but we expect that as we get into the warmer months, the late fall or late summer and early fall, that we will see a decrease in those numbers as well. And I think that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just have one.
Yes.
The one I asked already.
Oh, your satellite. No. So basically, they came up last week, and I haven't spoken to Mr. Fissel today. They came up last week to address the satellite problem because it is still not working. They are able to obviously it's working as far as the lake is concerned, but the satellite connection with overseas is not working, so they're not able to adjust the numbers yet. And we are working on that, and if they don't get it fixed very soon, there's going to be some letters drafted that we want this corrected quickly. And this is something that they should have looked in prior to, but the system is working.
Didn't we ask them about that, the connectivity piece? Like, given the difficulty, isn't that the
Right.
So, okay.
We are working on that.
But on the other side, it seems like things are pretty much very positive.
Yes,
I mean, it appears as if you're projecting that this will be costing us less money.
absolutely.
Okay.
And staff is very pleased with what they've seen so far.
Sure. And I want to compliment you guys, and I wonder if this is Mr. Fissel's hand in here. The soda ash and chlorine are the same, but more time is needed. I don't know if that's you guys or him, but
That's Mr. Fissel.
yes, I appreciate the practical approach.
Yes.
That everything isn't rosy, but 99.9% of it is. So
Right.
that candor is very welcome. Okay. Any other questions for staff related to this?
We will bring back an update probably after the fall to see where we'll have a better idea.
Sure. Great.
Will this be on the website, for anyone who's interested in town,
We
check
can add this PowerPoint
out.
to our website, or, with my notes to it as well.
And not being much of a science guy, turbidity, I know what turbidity is, but the measurement, the NTU, is it something turbidity unit? I don't know what an NTU is.
Noticeable
Is it-
turbidity.
And I am drawing a blank.
Is it nutrients?
Nutrient, can I phone a friend?
Yes, absolutely.
I will get back to you, because
I'm
I look
I'm
forward to that being answered at a later time.
I'm
That's-
drawing a blank.
That's
Thanks.
not a problem.
Because I don't know. I'm not.
What is it?
Want me to Google it?
Diffulometric unit.
That's why I
There
couldn't
you go. I
remember.
was gonna Google it.
That's just what I said.
Yes.
No cell phones in the room.
Okay. All right. Thank
Wow.
you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we can't do that up here.
See that in your next crossword puzzle. Okay, we now move on to our next item. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Goodness.
Oh boy.
All right. So we now turn to agenda item number 3, update on the Emmett Gardens Playground. And this to be presented again by staff.
Right. I've been working on this, and so has other staff. I've been working on trying to communicate with state and federal agencies that are involved, because the site that has been chosen is in a floodplain. As you can see from the maps that are included, the, first of all, the location, generally where we wanted to put the play area, and then Play World provided a basic design of what kinds of equipment might be appropriate for the age group and the size of the area. And then the third map that's in your packet, on the Frederick County mapping website, that's where the shaded area is where the floodplain is. The map I handed out to you at the beginning of the meeting is from our FEMA representative, who I just finally managed to get in touch with on Friday. He was very informative. If you take a look at the one I handed out tonight, there's a diagonally striped section which is right on along the creek. That's called the floodway, and that would kind of, when you get a rain, that's what's going to normally flood. And the area where you can see a highlighted pink, that's our park location. And that is considered the floodplain, and then that's the 100-year flood. Like, it's not once in every 100 years you get a flood there. It means you have a 1 in 100 chance of that flooding every year. And then there's a checkerboard pattern beyond that, and that's the 500-year floodplain. And again, you have a 1 in 500 chance. If a rain event happened, there's a 1 in 500 chance per year of you getting flooding quite a ways up into Emmett Gardens. So, initially, information I was given through the state was pretty, the response was pretty just generic, and I managed to talk to a couple other people. For one, there was a fee involved that was going to be fairly expensive. It was $750 application fee, and I managed to talk to somebody, again, late last week, that told me municipalities don't pay the fee for the application. And they also provided an application form that had a lot of things blanked out that we, at this scale, would probably not have to provide. So I haven't had a chance to thoroughly look at that application. It may be that we will need an engineer. But we'll see. I'll take as I said, I just got it late last week, and it shouldn't be a big expense, but the initial communication I had from person at MDE was that we'd need hydraulic studies and things. The concerns are two things. One is, would the facility that you want to put in block water and kind of hold it and change the where the water would go? And the other concern was the equipment be capable, have concrete foundations so that it won't float away.
Sure.
So that's where we are. I'm going to take another look at the information we have and see whether we just need to send it off to our engineer to just carry the ball with it. But we're moving. It's just,
Okay.
Process. Okay.
It's a process. Okay. Any questions for staff related to the presentation?
So we're moving on it. It's not nixed yet. right?
No, it's just unfortunate. The state took a long time to answer any of our questions, and then the initial answer was the $750 application fee, a hydraulic study, and an engineer. And then you keep adding to the cost of the project, and you've run out of your grant funding. But now at least we've got some hopeful information that might make the process a little easier. So we are working on it. We haven't given up on it.
Good. Let's
They
start.
did understand that this is gonna be a tot lot. a little
Yes.
tot lot.
Ms. Sipperly sent them the design. It showed exactly what the playground equipment was or is.
And it's not going to be deep enough to block the flow of water.
Right, that's correct.
The most that seems to me would happen is the mulch might float away.
Well, you know what, if the state has a complaint on that, take a picture of Kriggerstown Park. It is
Or
way
your
down in
Utica
the
Park.
floodplain, and
Yeah,
they just
I mean-
redone that whole thing.
So
And that's right
anyway,
in the floodplain.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten some better
Yeah.
help.
Town that's,
The person from FEMA
Woodsboro.
sent several different kinds of maps and resources, so.
Yeah, 'cause they put a tot lot right down underneath the bridge there where Lenox is, and it gets flooded every time. Every time the water goes down, it floods. But it doesn't move it or anything, so they must be, whatever they have there would work where we have.
I don't think it's going to be once we get everything in, I don't anticipate that it would be denied, but
Okay.
just a process you have to go through. And we also have a town floodplain ordinance. So we have to cross all our Ts.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Not at this time, no. I'm good.
Thank you. Keep pursuing this doggedly. This is a really important thing for that neighborhood
Yeah,
and for our
they've
community.
been, they've been wanting this for a long time.
They have, and it's the sort of thing where we want it to be a valuable family resource, and it sounds like you guys are chasing it, so thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just one more thing, though. If let's say things are going forward and it's looking good, we're still a question regarding those trees, those pine trees. That would be right next door to it.
What pine trees?
We talked about that the last meeting.
Side, we talked about
Along
that.
here? Or
Nope, the ones that run, you're talking about the ones that run to the side?
Yeah,
of the
they're right.
project- the
You could see
projected
them right there
location?
in the floodway.
you're talking about that, well,
Or-
there is a row of trees right along the creek that won't affect,
It's right along the creek. There's a little bit of a space, and then you see that it's right on the edge of the floodway. There are
probably can't
power
take that for
lines,
erosion.
telephone lines, everything that run above ground there. So the concern is if hopefully the tot lot is installed, one of those trees comes down, you have these power lines and whatnot right above it.
the only thing that we've discussed removing is that clump of trees just to the
Behind it.
left of the highlighted dot. Because they're just
I see
trying to-
that.
Okay. And
We have to
would-
discuss the ownership of those trees, I
Okay.
think, has come into question previously, and they may not be town-owned trees, and then we don't have the authority to remove them, and then you also have to worry about it being that close to the stream. The reasons why they're there, is it for erosion control,
Right.
stabilizing the bank? So there's things that we can look into to answer that question.
Okay.
There's also this- I don't know which row.
So the tree subcommittee
be
will be
ours, though.
formed soon, yes, yeah.
Look into those.
They're not doing much for erosion control.
Yeah.
One's ready to fall down.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll solve itself.
It's
Like hollow. Oh, is it really? Okay. So maybe it's a hazard too then. Okay. Any further questions or comments related to this third agenda item tonight? Hearing none, we move on now to setting the agenda for our next meeting. Okay, staff?
Okay. Obviously, the first one would be the presentation on the National League of Cities Service Line warranty for consideration.
Okay.
Then I have the appointment of election judges for consideration.
Okay.
For admin business, Delegate Kathy Afzali would like to come. And then I have ordinances to amend Title 13 Public Services for discussion. Staff has been meeting regularly on our water and sewer code, and there are some items in there that need to be addressed, and such as we would like to look at making a uniform due date for your water bills. Right now, it's not very consistent in our code. We'd like to bring forth making a consistent due date of the 5th of the quarter. Some responsibilities for the homeowner when they are neglectful or misuse or damage the water meters and curb boxes. Then responsibility for water line from the property line to the house should be the homeowner's responsibility. It's different in different parts of the town. We'd like to make it uniform for consistent purposes for staff when they go out to know what we are or not responsible for. So these are some of the examples of ordinances we would like to bring forth for discussion. And that's what I have.
Okay, so,
I would just leave it as ordinances to amend Title 13, Public Services for discussion.
okay, as an administrative business item or as an agenda
No, that would be
item?
an agenda item.
Agenda item, very good, okay. All right. So we've got the service line consideration, we have election judges. Will that be administrative business, a consent agenda, or agenda?
Whichever one you'd like.
Would you guys be comfortable if it's consent agenda? I mean, I don't know that we have to discuss individuals. You can either vote yea or nay rather than,
I think we did consent before.
Yeah, I thought that's how we've done it, but we can change that, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've got that authority. So, okay, so let's put that toward consent agenda,
Okay.
the election judges piece. An agenda item, well, how do we want to handle Delegate Afzali's visit? Do we just want to give her
I think we'll let her go first. Like we
open
did for her,
forum
okay?
first? Is that permissible? Okay.
We'll put her under admin business, and then you can move her forward.
Terrific, okay, thank you. And then ordinance amendment Title 13 for consideration?
Yeah,
Is that what we-
ordinances to amend Title 13, Public Services for discussion.
Okay, as stated. I will go with town staff, thank you. All right, anybody else have anything related to the agenda for our next meeting in August on the 7th? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agendum as presented?
Accept the agenda for the August meeting as presented.
Very good, is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Sweeney, seconded by Commissioner Ritz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Buckman absent. Okay, with that, staff, thank you very much for your preparation this evening. Greatly appreciated. Mr. Sweeney, again, no. So we turn to conclude. Are we done? Anybody else have any final comments?
No.
Okay. Motion made to close the meeting.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night.